Now I'm able to hang out with real scientists and have a great time. I just love it. So it was always a dream, really.
Yeah, that makes sense. So from like, how did you guys get involved together in the Osiris-Rex mission? How did that start?
Yeah, Brian and I were first introduced by a mutual colleague through an organization called Asteroid Day, which is a United Nations sanctioned event annually on June 30th to raise awareness of asteroid science and asteroid impact hazards. And Brian reached out right after we launched the spacecraft in 2016 with a congratulations message, and I was like going nuts over it because a childhood hero of mine all of a sudden is emailing me, congratulating me on this career accomplishment. And quite honestly, I wasn't sure it was real. I was like, I'm being punked or something like that. It was real. It was absolutely real. And I very quickly came to realize that. And like I said, we had kind of just been a part of this Asteroid Day organization. But the real collaboration started after we began releasing images on the internet from the asteroid encounter. Some of the very first approach phase images, which you'll see tonight in the presentation. Brian and his collaborator, Claudia Manzoni, who they worked together as a team to produce these amazing data products, he started emailing me, hey, we saw your data, thought you might enjoy seeing a 3D view of your asteroid. And I did more than enjoy it. It was really astonishing. And as I've been saying, it was like literally a new dimension opened up for me in the understanding of the asteroid. And as we started to get into the challenge of finding a sample location, I just knew we needed to see the surface in 3 dimensions. So I put out the call, Brian, are you able to help? And figuring he's a busy guy, he's got a lot of things going on in his life, and then he was just having fun with us, with our data, but they stepped into it and did a fantastic job. I sent him coordinate after coordinate. We went through over 50 locations on the asteroid surface, and Brian and Claudia processed every one of them, and it played a critical role in sample site selection.
Amazing. So I guess asteroids are fascinating objects in space because besides their well-known role as destroyers of life, we're learning more about how they could create it too. So what questions drew you guys, like what particularly interests you about this asteroid Bennu?
Well, you should go, but it is the ultimate clarity is the search for the source of life, isn't it? And this is kind of what fires us all up, I think. And it's a possibility that this project might contribute to that finding.
And I think your perspective on that is really illuminating, right? Because you came to realize that as we were making the book, right?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't really aware of the incredible importance of asteroids. You think of those pieces of junk out there that might hit us, we're very scared of them or whatever. You don't realise that actually they're probably responsible for us being here. Probably there would be no biosphere without the asteroids, and possibly the actual seeds of life came from them as well. It's an incredible thought. So asteroids become absolutely the centre of everything. If we understand asteroids well enough, we understand ourselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what are you hoping to teach, say, lay readers, people who aren't scientifically necessarily that highly educated? Like, what are they going to want to learn in this book that you guys kind of bring to them?
I think Osiris-Rex is a great adventure, right? I mean, we set out on this journey to a world that nobody had ever seen before. With a quest, it's a classic quest to grab scientific treasure and bring it back to the Earth for our analysis. And the book really tells that story. It tells the story of the journey, the challenges that we face. The first chapter is the history of asteroid science and meteorite science, how we came as a species to have the interest and the capabilities to even launch an expedition like this. And it takes you through this amazing wonderland from the early solar system. I never get tired of looking at the images. When the book first arrived, I think I sat on my patio for 4 hours. The sun had long set, it was way past my bedtime, and I was like, I gotta get up and go. So I think the book just really captures the essence of this adventure.
So you alluded to the stereoscopic images as well, which appear in the book. So take our reads into how they actually helped with the mission as well. So why they're not just a thing for the book; they were very useful in the mission too.
Yeah, we were challenged finding a safe location on the asteroid to send our billion-dollar spacecraft down to collect a sample. Right? I mean, this is not an easy decision, and it was my decision. Right? I was on the hook for this, and we're looking at flat images, and you really, you're like, well, that might be okay. That looks reasonably safe and flat, and then all of a sudden it pops out in 3D, and you're like, no. Like, no, we got to steer well clear of that. And so that's why, to his credit, Brian processed scene after scene, and every one of them was just like we're never going to find a place. There's not a sampling location on here until finally these small craters, like shaped like bowls, maybe 10 or 20 meters across. Through the 3D images, I started to see that's where really fine-grained material, when it's smooth, it's just as valuable in 3D to see that it's smooth as it's not, right? Because every time I looked, there was giant boulders popping out of what looked like a flat sea, and it's like, this is actually really flat. So now I know we're onto something really important.
That makes sense. So when the samples return, like maybe less than 2 months now, right?
That's right, September 24th.
Yeah. So what do you think that they will teach us about our solar system? I know that we've already had samples from the asteroid Ryugu, for instance, from the Hayabusa mission.
Right.
What are we looking to learn from Bennu?
I think Sarah would be a good
Right. Well, the point is we don't know until we get it. But just looking at the images that Dante and Brian have sent back, it looks like it's full of lots of different kinds of rock. Some of which are really fragile, which means they would never have got to Earth as meteorites. So I'm expecting to find things in there that we don't see in our amazing meteorite collection here.
Right.
So something completely different. So hopefully it will tell us something that we didn't even know that we didn't know. So that's my kind of hope.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm leading you on here, but maybe RNA, like with Ryugu, or is that something that's possible? Or?
Maybe the building, maybe the pieces, like the nucleobase or the sugar or the phosphate molecule. If we actually had a string, a nucleic acid, even a nucleic acid, which is a fairly complicated molecule, that would be revolutionary, like maybe Nobel Prize level kind of science. So we're looking for the pieces that might have come together to build RNA and DNA and proteins. But we don't expect to find actual biomolecules on there, but you never know. You never know, right?
Yeah, okay. So,
until you look.
Yeah, okay. So to kind of round this off, also, this isn't the last mission that Osiris-Rex will do, right? You're going to go to Apophis in 2029. So what are you looking for there? Do you just want to expand your sample of asteroids that this thing will take?
Well, it's a mission of opportunity, absolutely, right? So when the Osiris-Rex spacecraft comes close to the Earth in September, it's going to release a capsule, which looks a lot like a mini version of the kind of capsules that astronauts come back from space in. And that's the only part that enters the atmosphere. The rest of the spacecraft will fire its engines and be in orbit around the sun, and we figured out if we travel for another 5.5 years, we can make it back to the Earth in April of 2029, and this asteroid Apophis is going to come within 30,000 kilometers of the Earth, and it's over 350 meters across. This is the biggest, closest asteroid approach in 1,000 years. So people in, I think in Eastern Europe and Africa will be able to see it with the naked eye. That'll be the first time in history a near-Earth asteroid is visible with the naked eye. Apophis is very famous because it also is a potentially hazardous asteroid, and when it was discovered, it originally had a very high chance, like percentages of chance of hitting the Earth. That's mostly been retired. And I think it is important because Apophis is a stony asteroid, whereas Bennu is a carbonaceous asteroid, so they're two very different types of asteroid. And even though Bennu has the highest chance as a single asteroid, the most likely thing to hit the Earth would be one of these stony type of asteroids. So this is more like the kind of object we need to have a general mitigation strategy for. And now we get to use all these amazing science instruments that are on the spacecraft and compare to Bennu, so all of a sudden exponential increase in your scientific value. And it's just a good return on the investment. We spent a lot of money to get these things into space. Let's keep sending them on if they're up to the task.
Okay, wow. And will you be working together for Apophis as well?
I hope I'm still alive, yeah. If I am, I'll be badgering him too.
I think it is important. I will actually lead the Apophis mission. I'm handing the reins over to the next generation. My current deputy started with me as an undergraduate freshman in 2004, and she's taking over, Professor Danny Della Justina, and I'll be the emeritus PI. I'll be there as the corporate knowledge and the elder, right, to provide information when it's needed, and when it's not, I'll just get out of their way and let them do the job.
Fascinating. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you guys, I really appreciate that.
Sure.
Real pleasure.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Is Apophis going to be a solid rock, or is it going to be a rubble pile?
I think it's going to be something like Itokawa, so kind of like a contact binary. But I think just that peanut shape, like Itokawa is like a wedge out of a Bennu kind of thing. Like I think if you took Itokawa and made 8 of them, it would kind of be Bennu's size. So it's the same length, but much smaller volume. So I think based on our knowledge, it's going to look more like 2 pieces, kind of like 67P or Itokawa, as opposed to the spinning top shape.
And how big is it?
350 meters.
Okay.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll run today.
We're sort of in dinosaur extinction territory here, that's right?
No, that was like a 10-kilometer object. So
Okay.
I think 350 meters would be a large-scale regional disaster, but I think that we would survive as a biosphere.
That's another element of it, right? Because you're using the telemetry, because it's the same reason for like NASA's DART mission, for instance.
Mhm.
Like, there's a useful element to being able to try and get to these things anyway, in case we need to knock one off course.
Exactly.
Right.
That's exactly right. And you need to know how their orbits change, what their physical and chemical properties are.
Right. Okay.
So this is my day. Usually I'm worried about how to play an A chord.
Cool. Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.